Smith-Gold, motion carried. A motion was made to approve 10 extra hours for the secretary for April through July 1st, 2015, if needed. Gutel, Smith-Gold, motion carried. Roadmaster Supervisor Smith-Gold reported Lowtown Road was totally impassable. He and Carl got together to fix the road. The mud was stripped off, shell was brought in and leveled. Kelly Riggs was involved with the project also. The road is passable, but still needs a lot of work, but the residents can get to their homes. Planning Commission. The Barry and Terry Deven and Deven Hittman plans were addressed under public comment. A motion was made to advertise the amendment to the speed limit ordinance 20-1 for Circle Road, reducing the speed limit to 30 miles per hour per the Township Engineer's traffic study. Gutel, Smith-Gold, motion carried. Carol Zeta questioned why the engineer was just driving Circle Road as a traffic study. Supervisor Gutel answered to her understanding that's the way the study is done. A motion was made to pay the bills and any bills that come due before the next meeting. Smith-Gold, Gutel, motion carried. A motion was made to approve the payment to the Watts Buffalo Community Center for the budget allocation of $2,000 for 2014. Gutel, Smith-Gold, motion carried. A motion was made to adjourn the meeting. Smith-Gold, Gutel, motion carried.
I got a motion to accept the minutes as read.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
So all in favor, aye.
We have to approve the March 18th minutes since you weren't here, Carl, at the meeting. This is from the March 18th meeting. The Watts Township Board of Supervisors special meeting was called to order at 9 a.m. on March 18, 2015 by Chairman Carl Rudinsky. A motion was made to adopt Ordinance 2 of 2015, amending Section 6 of the Watts Township 2010 Driveway Ordinance. Rudinsky, Gutel, motion carried. Brian Rife Snyder read a letter to the board formally filing a protest against the passage of the amendment. A motion was made to have the township send out a letter to the residents informing them of the driveway ordinance changes as well as the pertinent information regarding the township cleanup day. Rudinsky, Gutel, motion carried. A motion was made to adjourn the meeting. Rudinsky, Gutel, motion carried.
Motion to accept the minutes.
Quick question on those minutes.
Yeah, right.
When you were holding your meeting, you said there'd be no public comment, but the minutes don't reflect that. The recording of the meeting, you said Brian asked for public comment at the start, and you said we're not going to have a public comment period, but the minutes don't reflect that.
He read it. I went up and read his letter.
You allowed me to read the letter after the motion, and that's a violation of the Sunshine Act. Before a motion of business, there needs to be a public comment section, and you did not allow that.
Right, I'm just trying to get the minutes to reflect what happened, and I think somewhere in there, the minutes should reflect that no public comment period was allowed. Or at the beginning of the minutes, it should say that Supervisor Rudinsky announced there would be no public comment, something to that effect, because that's exactly what is on the recording.
But he did let him read it. I mean, at the very end, he let him read everything that he wanted to read. And
It doesn't matter. It needs to be read before a motion of business, not after.
Okay, well, we will.
And I have a question. I'm Carol Zates at the meeting on March 18th. I wanted to ask the engineer, but he wasn't here, what no permit number E? I mean, there was no public comment, but E was at the prior meeting when you were proposing the ordinance, correction, amendment, whatever. Somehow E got in there. I wanted to ask at the meeting on March 18th, but because the engineer wasn't here, because Pat, after the meeting, because no one was allowed to speak at the meeting, it was cut and dry, 3 to 4 minutes. But I wanted to see what E was, and she said that the engineer had said it, and I wanted to know what that meant. Does that mean that everyone who put in, and I guess I should address it to the engineer, everyone who puts in a plan, does that mean it's a done deal? What does E mean?
can you read E just for the notes and everything? Again,
I
I
don't
know
have it up there.
Just read E. if you-
No permit can be denied as to location when the driveway existed at the time of adoption of this ordinance and no change of use is proposed.
Right.
What does driveway exist? Driveway exists on a map, a plan map that has been accepted or waived or conditions allowed. You know, what was the purpose
It's
of
in
the
existence at the time that the,
physical existence
Yes.
or existence on a plan map?
existence, I would say that's there.
But that wasn't on the original proposal the month before, so I was just trying to, I just needed some clarification on what does it mean.
It's being used. It should be in existence and being used.
But
for
it does
certain-
not, it
whatever
does not
it's used
include
for.
like the driveways such as up north of New Buffalo. I took a drive up there. I guess it's a 50-foot wide subdivision. The road's about 50-foot wide.
Well,
Like-
that's,
But a lot of those driveways are plans. Does that mean?
they're on plans.
Right, does that mean they're done? I
If
just-
they're not cut in, they're not being used.
But the permit is probably allowed on a plan map already?
What was that?
I guess I needed clarification on what was E and why was it put in there by the time the 4-minute meeting took place?
That was though, as I explained to you, to protect the people, everyone in the township for, let's say, we get a supervisor in at some point in time, or a zoning officer is overzealous, and then says, you know what, you're not gonna meet, your driveway doesn't meet site distance, but it's an existing driveway that's been there for 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
But-
It was a way to protect the public from someone coming into
Okay.
office, whoever's saying, you know what, we're not gonna let you use that driveway now. And it's like, but it's in existence, so that was actually a safeguard. That was really meant to be put in for a safeguard for the public.
For an existing driveway that's
Right.
already gravelled and/or blacktopped and/or whatever,
Yes.
that's already cut in. It does not include driveways that are on plan maps?
On plan, you're saying on the ones that will be building
Well,
houses?
I've noticed at the planning meetings, a lot of times they come in and they want waivers and conditions, and I know there's another driveway going up on Amity.
Mhm.
And it looks like there's waivers, it's at a curve, which I went out there one day just to see, because I didn't know what it was, and it is, you know, it just depends, but is the driveway existing on the plan map when it's approved by the planning board and/or the supervisor?
When it is on that plan, most of the time there's a comment on the plan that says they have to get a driveway permit before they get a building permit.
The driveway permit,
Like the Devon plan that was, they still have to get a driveway permit.
so the driveway permit comes before,
It
or
comes
along with-
before the building permit.
before the building permit?
Mhm.
Okay.
Who put that in there though? Whose suggestion? Jerry, was that your suggestion to add that into that ordinance amendment?
Well, that was for, I thought it was a clarification to protect everybody.
Okay, but
That's,
that was your,
that's saying that all the driveways in existence are grandfathered and this ordinance has no effect on them.
But it means driveways that have macadam or stone. It doesn't, I guess I don't know if it's on a plan, because I see that if it's
Well,
on,
on a plan, if it's a subdivision plan, they still need a driveway permit.
before the building permit.
Yes. And they would have to conform to our driveway ordinance.
Maybe the board could just add a policy for the record that it would be a physically existing driveway. At some point in time, if you just added that word in as to make a policy, like we did last year, and it just says physically existing, then you know it's not one that's planned, it's one that's physically existing. We kind of strayed from, I'm sorry, Nancy, we kind of strayed from the approval of the minutes. I was asking simply that they reflect that there was no public comment period going to be had.
Linda Heffenfinger, I'm still confused because if a driveway is already in, they don't need a permit. So why would that be put in there is that they can't be denied a permit if it's already in there? I'm confused totally. Totally.
It was, isn't that in maintenance?
Right.
They're talking about in maintenance, I think. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know what it,
I don't have that.
Again, that was put in there as a safeguard to the public, so,
I can make a comment on that. If you have a gravel driveway and you've decided to blacktop it, you do need a permit. And so, if you go for a permit, but your gravel driveway existed 20 years ago when we didn't have site distances, then an overzealous zoning officer or supervisor can't say, you don't meet site distance, so I'm not going to let you blacktop it. It's a protection for the people who have a driveway that's been in existence but doesn't meet site distance.
Well, they still didn't need a permit if they only gravel or blacktopped out to the last 20 feet of their
Well,
driveway.
that's true, but what if they
So,
wanted to gravel all the way to the
why would it
road?
even need to be in there?
Yeah, it's
So
like
some people
rewriting
want
the
to
history book.
gravel all, they might want to drive stone or brick or blacktop or whatever, all the way to the road.
But that's not even discussed in that amendment part there. I mean, that's like a loaded question or loaded statement.
That, I can just tell you that my
And we
understanding is
didn't,
that's what it
honestly,
was for.
Bob, we didn't even discuss that with the planning commission and the driveway volunteer committee. That was never brought out, ever. So we couldn't figure out where it was, who put it in, what it was gonna cover, and why we would put in there.
I believe everybody's into that now. The supervisors thought that was best for the community.
The supervisor said that Jerry put it in there.
They all work together.
No.
That might have
if you're-
been my suggestion.
that was,
Okay.
yeah, because it was a compilation of Jerry's comments, my comments, we ran it by the solicitor, so it was a compilation of everything as to what we felt was best. And again, a way to protect the public. I thought it was a really good suggestion, and actually, I definitely went along with it.
But the thing of it is the planning commission and the driveway committee were totally left out of that.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Yes, they were.
Yes, they were.
Okay, well,
Yes,
Yeah,
they were.
Yes, they were. That's why we couldn't understand why you put that in there. End of story. I mean, it's a big mess, that's all I can say.
Again, I apologize, Nancy, we strayed again.
Okay.
Yeah,
March
Nancy,
18th
you won't
meeting,
know
we're
if you're
gonna
coming
table
or
that
going.
until
Sorry. Sorry.
Public comments. Anybody have public comments?
First thing, Brian Rafe Snoder. The people back Bixler Lane are still having problems with water runoff due to the development. And they mentioned it to me, and I figured I'd bring it up at the meeting that there is still an issue.
Who's it?
Carmo is their name.
Is that the one in the,
Is that the one
in the back?
Yeah, with the pond.
Okay, yeah, I had visited their site, and I spoke with them, I know Jerry had gone out
Mm-hmm.
to their location.
And their shit name was McCormick.
Carmo, C-A-R-M-O. Yeah, they're still having issues.
Is it 3 or 4 Bixler Lane or something?
Don't remember the address,
The very
but it's at the
end.
very end.
Very end, yeah.
Very end, yes.
Yeah, at the end there where it comes off of, okay.
Yeah, their
That's
pond's
where
still
those
getting
ponds are
muddied
back
from the
there, right,
water.
Jerry? That's where those ponds are back in there. at the end
It's,
of it.
it's
Well, they
runoff,
have
it's
those
not
ponds
the
across
pond.
the drainage swale. They're not by themselves. The developer has up all the E&S,
Everything that the.
but,
That's
Yeah, it's
nine.
but also the farm up there comes down through there, but it's the stream itself is what they have the pond across. I can check it and make sure everything's
Never had
in
an issue
place.
before.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they did.
Yeah.
They did have an
No,
issue.
they didn't.
They said they didn't.
No, they didn't.
What's that?
We were back there
Stella
whenever
Brigard,
Brigard's is.
Stella Brigard.
Well, things are intermittent, though. You don't always have a problem.
Yeah, whenever you put a development up over top of them, I guess it would be a problem.
Well,
And they
had
never
all the
mentioned their
DNS.
pond, they mentioned the runoff that was making wetlands
Yeah, no,
on
I
their
saw it.
yard.
I took pictures of it and saw it.
So,
Like I said, I
I
knew
guess
Jerry
it's
had
taking
gone
care
out.
of an issue.
public comment.
And that's 9 Bixler Lane.
9.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, I also have the ordinance that's been approved by the Planning Commission, the next proposed ordinance, to present to the board. And this was finished on April 8th, 2015.
Okay, thank you for your,
Yep.
your input. We'll hand it to Robert and Jerry and figure it out.
Okay.
Good job.
Oh, Carl, I have another question. The mailboxes there on Mater Road that are for the Bixler Lane back there.
Yeah.
Was that ever addressed as to washing out over there?
Yeah, that was addressed once in Washington, but right now, we are working on Monter Road. We're
Okay.
cutting out spots and repairing Monter Road.
And what about the tree, that pine tree that was leaning out towards the road?
Whatever's leaning out, we're gonna cut off.
Okay,
We're in there last week, we're going in tomorrow again.
okay.
And I have a question. When may we ask about the ordinance that you're going to adopt on, I just needed clarification on how far on Circle Road. The ordinance you're going to adopt tonight on Circle Road and signs,
Yeah.
it goes into how many feet west of Circle Road intersection with Black Snake, but it only says go through the S-curve, but there's a lot of gray area, and when are you through the S-curve? 500 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet? I'm just,
When you get around the turn, there's
Yeah.
a signage that has to say, you end up saying, end of restricted speed as you come out.
but how many feet? Because I know there was a comment by the fire.
You have to look at the placement of the signs. There's a standard for how far those signs have to be by the book,
Oh, coming out of the S-curve.
to warn them to slow down.
Because it says how many feet from Black Snake, but it doesn't say, it just says, shall have a speed limit of 30 mile, shall be, as it comes out of the S-curve. And I guess I don't understand, like feet is a better measurement, but you don't know what the law is for how many feet out of
Well,
the S-curve?
once you have to have them slow down at 30 mile an hour as they enter.
Right,
And then there's this exact distance specified where they have to put reduced speed ahead sign.
where's that specified in?
It's in a manual that's about that thick on PennDOT.
But is it like 1,000 feet after you come out of the S-curve?
But as you come out of the S curve, then
Right.
you put end of reduced speed right away.
Immediately, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the
Yeah.
S-curve?
Yes.
Oh, you put some, redo the speed, go back up to 40, what? 40?
Yes.
Is it 45? Is that what
I
it
don't
is?
know, I don't have it, 40 or 45, I forget which it is.
Okay, because I know one of the firemen had commented that, if it's only like 50, I don't know how long the S-curve is, I didn't measure it, but like,
Well, it's probably at least between the S turns, I bet you it's 400 or 500 feet between the two turns.
okay.
And they have to be slowed down before they enter, going either way.
Yeah. Oh, even at the entrance, because it's very specific about the entrance from Black Snake, but it's not specific about entering the S-curve from the other direction.
Yeah, that's why it was said that where they start from Black Snake,
Right.
it goes through the S turns, wherever that is.
Okay.
And that's the reduced speed limit in that area.
And there's so many feet by the PennDOT
Yes,
before what?
to put up the sign.
Class, okay.
We can go ahead before we pay the bill.
I have a comment. Whenever, John Heffenfinger, whenever I was over at the Township building that one day, and you and I got into a little bit of a conversation, you made a remark about our taxes going way high. Whenever we,
Excuse me, I didn't say I said your taxes hasn't been raised for years,
You
but
didn't
if
know you'd finish.
you just want to spend a lot of money, it can go higher. Remember that.
well, it was mentioned that the taxes would go up whenever you start repairing the bridges in the township. And what I was curious of was not so much the taxes going up to repair bridges, because that's something that's necessary. I was wondering where the bridges are. How many?
We don't have, now, to back up on that, see, you misunderstood that. On the bridges, when I was with the state, the bridges are gonna be fixed. And then after they're fixed, then half of that repairs and expenses comes back to the township. This comes on our taxes. And the other half the state will pick up, after the bridges are all repaired. But actually, in the township, we have the bridges they're gonna tear out and redo now. All we have is the bridges down on Circle, down on Spinning Wheel. There we go around the corner and down on, coming down New Buffalo. Yeah.
Creek Road, isn't that a state road right there?
That's a state road, isn't it? Creek Road?
What?
Creek
Road's
Road?
a state road.
Yeah, Creek Road, but it don't matter, it's a state, but they're coming with this new law that after they're fixed, then the township's got to pay for half the expenses on them.
Is that something that we had to adopt with them, or
We have nothing to
something
say on
we
that. The state
could
already mandatory that.
argue with? Huh.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Well,
It's
we'll
part
have
of
to
the
check
attended that meeting
we'll have
down
to
in
check
Marysville.
into that one and see what we find.
Well, I was just curious because
Yeah,
the only two bridges that I knew of were right there along Creek Road.
right, yeah, that's, and that one they're gonna be replacing anytime they're gonna start it.
That old stone bridge.
No, the one coming right out of town, because they're gonna detour everybody down on Notch Road. That's what I was told last week by the state when they called me. The Notch Road's a bad road to detour because you can't turn into Notch coming north. And I told him about going to Modern, and he said, this is the way the state has it set up. So the locals will have to get used to it and go their way.
We'll check it out.
Anybody comments, others?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
On cleanup day, I have the advertisement, and it says all appliances accepted, including refrigerators and air conditioners at no charge.
Yeah.
Is that correct? You can take the freon ones and stuff?
We don't have to do it no more, you just throw them in the dumpster and they take care of it.
They take care of them.
Yeah.
And the second, are we taking extra loads this year? There's nothing in here about, like, if you want to,
If you have more loads.
Yeah, usually $10 usually is what we charge for a second load.
so we are taking extras.
Pardon me?
We are gonna take extras.
Yeah.
All right. The minutes said something, said about the stone grants from the county, and I didn't find the paperwork on it, but has anybody looked into or contacted the county about that stone grant paperwork?
Yeah, Jerry and I are working on that now.
So there, you didn't find the
Yes.
paperwork?
Neil?
Yes.
Yes.
And you mentioned that the new driveway, when it was given to you, the new driveway ordinance will be submitted to Jerry.
It would go to the Jerry and Planning Commission and then Linus. And then we'll go with it.
Okay, so can we get, is there any kind of time frame on that?
Well, they haven't even looked at anything yet. They haven't seen, either Carl nor Glenn has even looked at the latest proposals with the changes or whatever. So
I don't
that's
think
what
Jerry did either, did you?
Well, I've sat through the meetings, but I haven't gone through it in depth.
they have to take some time to look at things, and we have to run it by Linus, whatever, and then also the PC asked for it to come back to them if there are any changes or
What
additions,
they want to
whatever.
do. And we can
Are
have-
you sending it to Linus now, or are you gonna wait until the comments from Jerry and the planning
Well,
commission?
probably.
Jerry and the Planning Commission should be first and then Linus.
Well, the planning commission already reviewed it with
Right,
us.
but they.
And they want it sent, it was my understanding the planning commission wanted it sent back after everybody else looked at it. And that was the final stage before it would go before the board for approval, hopefully. So Linus would review it first, then it would go back to the planning commission, then back to the board. That was my understanding. Because the planning commission has already seen it and been through
Can
it.
go to Linus. Yeah.
We were supposed to be able to look over
Okay.
if there was any changes too.
Yeah, that's after it comes back from
We wanted
Linus.
to see if there was
Okay.
changes.
Right.
They didn't care if there was no changes, and it was what they agreed with. What I'm asking for is, we've seen it where these things sit, so I'm asking for some kind of time frame. Just, I mean,
Let's say in the next 90 days.
60, 90 days?
Yeah, that ballpark. Just go 90 days, so because,
We'll get an answer from the board and the
right,
engineer in that time frame.
right.
How about 60 days? I mean, that's 2 months for everybody to look at it.
Yeah.
Jerry's already looked at it, the planning commission's
We
already
can
looked
go
at it.
60 days, no problem.
60, I appreciate it.
That sounds good.
The quarterly report, the first quarter report, we were supposed to get one in end of March. Do we have one? We do? Is it in the office or?
Yeah.
So we can
I
get-
have a couple copies with me too.
Okay. that's
I
what
did
was
present it
asking
to the board at the last meeting.
for. Okay, that's all I asked. Thank you.
Okay.
And just, we're getting a second on anything about tabling the other things, we didn't get a second, and tabling that.
The March 18th minutes.
Oh.
You made a motion to,
Table,
Yeah, and I
second.
seconded, yeah,
All right.
okay.
Okay, the zoning officer.
I issued 2 permits this month, one to Darren and Kimberly Miller at 142 Huggins for a shed, one to Brian Decker at 226 Notch. Brian is adding a porch addition to the rear of the building, a deck, and a in-ground swimming pool. Mr. Pozick got back to the township and myself, and his letter was referred to the solicitor. The trash at Kirby Motel, the dumpster was cleaned. I have to go back down and see if they cleaned up what was outside the dumpster. And my other reports are before you.
Okay. Engineer?
The general permit, I found out I needed a detailed drawing of the site here, so I met with the fire company last night, and they gave me a drawing that I think I can blow up and use, have to do a little modification to it. And I see I have traffic study at Notch and Amity intersection. For you to change the signs legally, you're supposed to have a full traffic study done at the intersection.
I'm gonna make a motion for that.
Okay, I'm just saying.
No, I'm
that's
glad
what
you
it
mentioned it,
is.
because I was gonna ask you. Go ahead.
That's all I have.
Excuse me. I have a question regarding Mr. Pozick. He's been in like the last 3 months. What's going on there?
Posick stuff is at the attorney's.
What's going to happen from there? Any?
It's up to the solicitor.
Okay.
They go from there. I mean,
Yeah, did you hear
we're doing
anything?
everything we can do.
You what?
We're doing whatever we have to do to progress it, and Linus has it.
Okay, so then Linus is going to get back to the board then before that goes anywhere?
He'll probably be here next month.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Solicitor, okay, fire company?
I gave you the monthly report, financial report. I think we're shooting for an open house June 20th. Open it up to the public, changes over the years, new equipment, stuff like that. Like a broken record, April we ran 20 calls, we were really busy. Today's the 6th and we already ran 8 calls this month. So, other than that, I think it's pretty much all the same. I think Ambrose has something.
I got something, Earl. Back on your last conversation with the the Creek River Bridge,
Yeah.
I got nothing yet on
You have it?
anything. So if you guys have any emails or anything,
No, I you just called me on the phone and gave me the information. on the phone.
detour-wise, I've received nothing yet.
We can, I guess, we can go back to the contractor and get him to get us what we need for
Yeah,
fire company.
so I can post it, put it on the map, and post it, let everybody know what's going on, which way we need to get there.
Because we
And
don't
I
have
have
enough.
my personal email or our house.
Because I got some calls on which way they're gonna route traffic too.
Yeah,
Because I
so
know you guys need to know.
I'll get with you after the meeting, give you firehouse email, my personal email. We're ready to
But
get
it-
something, just
Who reports it to the, what, 9/11? And then,
PennDOT should report that to Perry County, and Perry County should send an email out.
it should be, you're talking not only the fire company, it should be the post office. You also get notified somehow, because I said,
I got no parts of that.
I got more trouble with the post office than anybody.
I'm not worried
else.
about the mail.
Okay, well, we're still talking, did you get a hold of that lady today?
I left a message.
Did she didn't get back yet?
Not yet.
Okay, good enough. Okay, then the old business, the sourdough, we need to finish that.
I'm concentrating on that next.
Okay, now on the audit, you had a price of 5,000 to 6,000.
Yes, I spoke with 2 people, 2 firms, and it's 5,000 to 6,000 for 2013. 2014, it will be a little bit less, maybe like 1,000, but there's certain internal controls that they need to establish that's going to be why it costs that amount.
Okay, well, I got from Fortenberg down there, he got me back today. He does some for some other townships and boroughs, and he does them for $1,200.
Wow.
So I think we should progress and move on and get this done.
Meeting words.
Very good, Carl.
Go, yeah.
I have been in contact with a CPA called Spencer Martin from Central Penn College. He is their accounting program chair. He is a CPA. He also has his own CPA business, but he is a teaching prof. And from what he discussed with me, he is leaning that he would do it pro bono or at whatever our established auditor's rate was, which was $10 an hour.
Up to a certain amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But he's basically wanting to use the type of information, the type of accounting as a teaching tool.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
How
timeline?
soon? What are you doing?
Tell us how long I'm taking on that? That sounds great, but yeah. But I mean, does it take a whole
He was
year?
waiting till I had the approval before we got any further into the discussion, because I didn't want to delve in any further into his time or give him terms that I didn't know about.
And you said he's a CPA?
The CPA,
Okay,
if
well-
someone knows what a CGMA is, they can tell me, because I have no idea what that little group of letters coming after his name is.
Why don't you make a motion?
We should go with that, if not, we'll back.
Go back to, okay. Wanna make a motion?
Make a motion to approve that.
Who she said?
She said
Central
otherwise.
Penn.
Yeah.
His name is Spencer Martin.
Spencer.
He is a CPA and the accounting program chair. I'll give this to you.
Yeah, okay.
Nancy.
Okay,
Um,
and then if that doesn't materialize, then we'll go to court and law,
That'll be our backup.
because I'm getting letters at home.
So we can get this taken care of.
Yeah, I had been in contact also with CSATs. Megan McDonough said we had to get a CPA at this point.
Yeah.
We couldn't even slide in an audit team to do it. It had to be a CPA.
We don't want to put the fair company in jeopardy for the time.
Yeah, because you gotta get, that has to be done so they get grants.
Yeah, let's second on that.
I'm really thinking, I mean, we should,
I'll second the
if
motion.
we go
Sorry.
for 213, I think we should let that same person handle 214 right away,
I agree.
and go and get it done.
So Carl, Glenn
I
made the
made the
motion, I
motion.
seconded. You
All in favor, aye.
What was the motion?
That we let
That,
Spencer, what was it called?
Spencer Martin.
Spencer Martin.
Do the, which audit?
213
2013
and
audit.
2014.
Yeah, both of them.
2014. I believe we need to do that differently.
Well, that's not what CSAT said.
Yes, the same coach says so.
Okay. Let's get the letters done.
Yes.
Well, this is just a motion to do it, and then we can.
Yes, we do have to advertise it.
We have to make a motion, you
Yeah.
can't just appoint somebody, you have to make the motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we advertise Spencer Martin to the 2013.
That is the motion then.
That is the motion.
Okay, so it's not, did you rescind the last motion?
I'll rescind, well, I should rescind. Rescind?
Why do we have to rescind it?
Is what he said.
Your motion was to hire him, if I heard it right.
What?
Yes.
You have to.
So we're rescinding that and we're
So
gonna
we're
make a
sending,
motion to
that, and
advertise.
then we're saying we have to advertise it, but we're making the motion to go forward with it.
So we're putting it off another month.
No, not.
You have to advertise it and then vote next month.
You get a mail Friday.
30
I mean,
days.
You have to advertise and then vote 30 days. You have to advertise 30, it says right in there, 30 days of advance. So advertise and vote next month. It's right there.
So you're making them wait.
I'm not making anybody.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
making,
No, it's-
I'm making sure we cover the township. Just like we've always done.
It's,
Just like we've always done, we have to cover the township. You do an audit, it gets thrown out,
Here's
then
another
you're a year
thought.
behind.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, as far as complying, the other thing we could do is have a special meeting to go ahead and make
You
that?
have to
No,
advertise
after it's
30 days.
Okay, so it's after it's advertised. So it's
Well,
within
30
the
days is gonna come out the
during
next meeting.
You're right, okay, never mind. I was just trying to think of ways to expedite it, but.
Yeah, so you're gonna go 30 days.
There-
Okay, we'll advertise it the next,
Okay.
we'll go next month.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a motion.
That was,
so-
did you get the motion, or do you want us to repeat it?
Please repeat it.
Okay. We're making a motion to advertise for Spencer Martin to do the 2013, 2014 audits. Okay. And anything else we need to add to this?
Why don't you add the second guy in the advertisement, just in case the first guy, you won't have to wait another 30 days.
We'll put both names.
Put both names in the advertisement.
Robert, first of all.
So you know who the second one is?
No, I didn't catch that.
Okay. What was the, Judy? Judy? Did you Carl? No, you know the name of the other company that was going to be doing it?
Fortenbaugh.
Fortenbaugh.
Fortenbaugh, yeah, down.
Okay, so that's the motion.
That's the motion. Need a second, need a second on that? Somebody?
That's it, all in favor, aye.
Then I'm seconding it. All in favor, aye.
Mr. Glenn?
Glenn was second.
Okay.
Okay, now we,
Okay, everybody happy with that? You got it down? I know it. Okay.
okay, next thing is the Parks, he's scheduled this meeting with DEP, but he didn't get back to us when he's gonna schedule a meeting.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, I guess not.
Okay, the 100 step, I guess that's waiting on lines on
Yeah,
that,
we're
right?
gonna be- yeah, next month. Yeah.
Adopt the ordinance 2015-3 for the speed limit ordinance.
So you have that you have to adopt?
Yes.
Any motion for that?
Yeah. So I get a motion.
Make a motion for adopting the 2015-3 amending speed limit ordinance 2010-1.
Can I get a
Second?
motion? Can I get a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Okay. We have a motion, second.
Second.
Glenn?
All in favor, aye.
Please sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, Linda Heffenfeld.
New business.
If
Cell
Spencer
phone.
and Martin, if they are
Okay, you're gonna have a
proposing
meeting
to
with
do
us
this,
20th at 8 a.m.
Wait a minute. Two people are talking here. Linda was-
Linda had a comment.
yeah. If the Spencer and Martin from the business school, do they have a certain limit where, okay, they can only go so far? Or how long do they think it would take them versus what Fortenbaugh would?
Well,
Be able
until
to
they
go.
see the material, they have no concept of how long it would take. And I couldn't give them that until it was approved, or is it going to be approved, so that they
Okay.
can look at it.
Then how does that cover us then? It will come back whatever would be the better of the two for the township.
Get us.
Hopefully we
Well,
can
it
get a
seems-
pro bono.
Yeah, it seems like that's a no-brainer in a way, because.
And it shouldn't take too long. I mean, if they're CPAs, you know, they should have it done, I'm thinking a couple of weekends, you know, spend maybe a Saturday or
Yeah.
one of my off days.
Right. Yeah, I'm just looking out which would be better.
Sure, that's quick,
And quicker, yeah, because of everything that's involved here.
yes.
Okay.
New business.
Yeah, we're on new business on cell phone towers.
The Wireless Facilities Regulation Project, this is something that the Tri-County Planning Commission is teaming up with Cohen Law Group. And what's happening is, these cell providers are installing mini cell towers in the right-of-ways of townships, boroughs, and in front of people's houses. And unless our zoning ordinance specifically addresses these, we can't regulate them. So they're asking us if we would like to participate in having them review our zoning ordinance for the telecommunications section, the wireless section, to update it so that if anyone were ever to come in and want to start putting these mini cell towers in, we would have the zoning background to make them do it legally, make them pay fees. It's just to strengthen the zoning ordinance on wireless communications. There's the more townships that they get involved in this program, the less it will cost. They will do basically all the background work, writing the ordinance. They look at our zoning ordinance for free to see. I'm not even sure what's in the wireless. Is there anything in there, Bob, about the wireless communications? There's cell towers?
We have no wireless zoning except for the few paragraphs we have in the existing zoning code.
Yeah, there's something communication towers, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
In terms of that, because there's
I was
obviously
just
pros
looking
and
at it
cons
earlier.
to it, is there any kind of safeguard for us, or is it a matter of if we go ahead and let them do that, then do we have any jurisdiction over, you know what,
Yes.
we're interested but not interested?
Well, I gave the supervisors the information. I forwarded it on to Bob. Read the information. I wasn't asking for a decision tonight. I'm just informing you. It's going to cost, if they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 8 townships involved in this project right now. The more townships and boroughs they get involved in this, the less it's going to cost. It's going to cost money, but, you know, if they get 15 more municipalities, the fee would be $4,750, which is a 21% discount from the standard fee. 15, if they get 15 more municipalities. It's a flat fee.
Excuse me, Ned, isn't that something, because it involves the whole township, isn't that something that have to be put in the paper and the people would have to be
yes.
aware of that in a special meeting? Would be
Absolutely,
for that?
absolutely, yes, have to have a public hearing and all that. I was just making the board aware.
No, but I
that-
mean, I was just.
Oh, yes,
okay.
oh, yes, definitely.
Would that also have to be done as a referendum?
No, I'm not sure, I don't think so.
How big are these mini cell
This would
towers?
just be an amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Well, Nancy, Carol Zates, in other words, these companies can come in and put mini cell towers without even asking the township, is that right away?
Well, they can, but if we don't have regulations to stop them, yeah, there's, you know,
Well,
Isn't that an infringement on our constitutional rights?
well, yes, but that's why they're
Geez.
suggesting, you know, beefing up the zoning ordinance and addressing this.
How tall are the mini cell towers?
They're only like this. They go on top of light poles.
Oh,
Yeah, they're all over the place.
They're all over the place.
Yes, are you saying that the county is already saying they'll review our ordinance for free?
The Tri-Count, yes,
So if we send our ordinance to them, they'll do that even regardless of whether we
Right.
participate?
Yes.
So I think we
Yes.
should do, we actually have 3 pages, not a couple of paragraphs, but almost 3 pages of commercial communication antenna guidelines in our zoning. So that should probably be central. I think it'd be a good idea. Let them review it.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna do it for free, and
Right.
then that'll help you decide,
right.
you know, whether you need to participate.
Yeah.
Well-
Because, I mean, they got 8 people, 2 townships from Cumberland County, and 6 from Gulf County.
Is there some?
It's not just the mini towers that's gonna help establish rules for it. It's also the new wireless technologies where they're putting antennas on and stuff like that. You could, a decision needs to be made at our June meeting, what you want to do.
can you make a decision, if they're volunteering to review this for free, can you make a decision to send it to them now and let them look at it? And then maybe they'll answer you, and you'll have some information for next month.
They only have 8 people, Frank, they went 15 places.
No, she said that they would review it. You can send our ordinance to them and they'll review it for free, is that correct?
Yes.
So why don't we do that? Let them review our ordinance, whatever's in there, and then they can tell you if they think it needs more justice or whatever.
I don't think they will, Frank, unless they get all 15 people. They'll do it for free. After the fact, right?
That I'm not sure of. I'm honestly, I'm not
Find
sure.
out if the Tri-County will.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. This information came to me today.
Every year.
Yeah.
So, is it worth trying? I mean, I would think it'd be at least worth trying, send it to them and see if they say no, then they say no. If they say
Send it
sure,
back.
we'll look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, if it doesn't cost anything and there's no strings attached to it to send it to them, I mean, really, they could even download it online. It's the only one out there and take a look at it if they wanted
I'm
to.
not sure if there are strings, is the problem.
Well, then what are they?
Sounds too good to be true.
Then we need to know what they
And
are.
I think, I've heard a little bit about this already.
Okay.
I personally would prefer to wait. I mean, I'm not for putting things off particularly, but this is one thing I think would not be a bad idea to just look into a bit more thoroughly.
Then we need to see the whole
I
contract.
want to know what's
Yes.
behind it too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do it. I'll tell you what, I guess Len has to get going here, so I'd like to make a couple motions here. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, make all your motions
Okay.
in a second.
Okay. I'd like to make 4 separate motions regarding a return to the traditional way of our roadmaster's responsibilities had been set up and handled in the past. So number 1 is I make a motion that all 3 supervisors have the title and responsibilities of roadmaster. Okay, I'd like to get a second and a vote on this this motion as worded.
Second, Glenn, all in favor,
Aye.
go ahead.
Okay, number 2, I make a motion that the 3 roadmasters designate by public vote 1 roadmaster to be responsible for the normal, everyday roadmaster decisions, and that he or she be titled roadmaster in chief. I'd like to get a second and a vote.
Explain that, please.
Yeah, what's the purpose of this?
Yeah.
I'll tell you the purpose. They kicked me off because they were pissed off at me. Now they're putting all 3 back on. That's the purpose.
Well, it's a little different than that,
No,
but,
it's entirely what happened.
okay,
That's the purpose.
let me get through these, please, if you wouldn't mind, Frank. Okay,
So the second one was the 3 roadmasters designated by public vote, 1
Right.
roadmaster to direct.
be
the
responsible for normal, everyday roadmaster decisions, that he or she be titled roadmaster in chief. Okay, we got a second on that, right? And all in favor?
Yeah,
Okay. Number 3, I make a motion that going forward, all major road projects requiring substantial expenditures desired by any of the 3 roadmasters be brought before the Board of Supervisors for discussion and a vote prior to initiation.
Excuse me, substantial expenditures as what kind of dollar amount are we talking?
Well,
It
there's,
depends what you're working
yeah.
on.
Well, I think it should be quantified.
No, I'd like to leave that open-ended at this point because
Because the work will stay on there.
depending on a number of things, depending on.
Well, without a number there, it doesn't mean anything.
Well,
It
let's
could
put
be
it this way.
redefined at will.
That's true, but the problem is, if we put an actual dollar figure on it and there's something that comes up in between meetings or something like that, I just want to, sometimes it's better to leave things open rather than just nailing it down in this case.
Are these any things to be major things, and this is something that maybe Jerry needs to be involved in some of these decision-making, or what?
Go for bids.
9 or 10, yeah, so 9 or 10, yeah,
Over $10,000,
$10,000.
anything over $10,000 is made.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
Can you read that number 3 again?
Yep, I will actually add in a thing. Okay, I make a motion that going forward, all major road projects requiring substantial expenditures, let's put that figure in at $10,000 or more, desired by any of the 3 roadmasters be brought before the Board of Supervisors for discussion and a vote prior to initiation. And the only caveat to that I can think of,
Second.
okay.
Second, all in favor,
The only
I still have a
caveat-
question.
aye. Go ahead.
You said major road projects. You've already authorized the roadmaster to direct the crew, right, to the daily, regular
Right,
maintenance?
right.
Yeah.
Regular maintenance. So why not all expenses, so we can hear what expenses are gonna be paid out of our coffers?
Right, I
I
agree.
mean, you've designated it major road projects and substantial expenditures.
Right.
I think honestly, it should be all expenditures because it's our tax dollars.
Yeah.
If you wanna go out and buy a box,
We
then
agree.
you guys should have a discussion on,
Well,
you're gonna need,
case,
I'm
case,
still trying to explain myself.
yes.
Yeah.
You should be having a discussion on, I'm gonna need a box for this and a box for that, and it's gonna
That's
cost
what
this
we're
much.
at right
And we should have the right to hear that before you go and spend it. I'm looking in here, and last month you spent $3,000 on paving, and we never knew about it.
Well, the thing, okay, Greg, the other thing is, there are times when things need to get done in between meetings, and that's something I know that we differ on, in that, like Lowtown Road, there was a situation where people could not get back to their houses. There was mud thick that Carl couldn't even get the back of his van up to his frame.
Well, those are emergency situations.
Well, but
that's
there
right.
are, that's,
But we're talking about everyday expenditures that you're gonna plan your projects out. It should be any expenditure. I mean, we have to fix a road because of a problem,
all the
that makes
expenditures are listed on the bills.
They get paid by whatever is set by the Board of Auditors
But
if
wait,
you have a board of
they're
auditors.
listed on the
We don't have a
bills
board of auditors,
after you
so
spend
they're
the
just gonna
money.
do whatever they want.
We don't have any
So, yeah, there
hearing,
might be
we
something
don't
there,
have any
too.
discussion on, well, we're gonna fix this road, that road, we're gonna buy this,
Might
buy
very well
that.
be the case.
It's just like I said, $3,000 in paving is on this month,
Mhm.
special paving.
That had to
We
be
did
done.
it. It didn't have to be done immediately.
Yes, it did.
It does.
Potholes, it's
Yes, absolutely.
You can go down on
I
Martin
drive
Road.
Monterey Road once.
Yeah, you haven't been down there, I haven't get
It's
the
simple.
phone.
Then we should have discussed it for $3,000. If it's an
It's gonna cost
expenditure,
4 or 5 times more than that to get the road completely done. That's just one day's work.
yeah, and that's a
That
project.
We can't, I'm not waiting till every meeting to make a
That was
decision.
all-
That's
Well,
what
that's the
we're
way
doing
the
here.
law works.
No.
Yes, it does.
So-
You
so
have to approve
Did you hear that,
expenditures
Ryan?
before you pay them,
Yeah.
not after.
You'd wanna charge for
Yes, move on.
Okay, let's move on, yes.
May I suggest that you vote on that properly so that we don't have to sue you? That's what you're trying to tell us. You're supposed to approve the expenditures beforehand, not after. Now, you guys have been doing it this way, and I've argued with you for years on it. They come to us after it's spent. That's an expenditure that has to be voted on. Now, you don't spend it and then bring it to us and say, pay it.
Okay,
But that's the way it's working. So I'm stating for the record that this motion,
No,
I'm stating for the record that this motion is saying, if you don't agree, sue us. Because that's exactly what you're
you
doing.
know what?
The law states otherwise.
We're going
Linda.
to,
Linda Heffenfinger, I know we have had a problem with this right along. Whenever there is something is completed, it is not broken down as to what was spent for what. It's just one solid figure. And we as taxpayers deserve to know what each one of those things cost that were spent by the township.
I think it's
Before it's
broken
spent,
down.
not after.
No, it's not.
we're
No, it's
doing now,
not.
things will be broken down from now on, how it's
Okay,
goes.
thank you, Carl, from now
And then
on.
I want to tell you something.
Yes.
When you were saying about the pipe and the boxes down there, well, the state man really approved them today, and he liked them.
Well, I'm glad, but I want to know who designed them and why were they in there. I
Okay,
mean,
move on. But
clear
I
at
just
the
want to
end,
let you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
but not up the road further, they weren't needed.
Dale Lucas, I have a question. The roadmasters, there's gonna be 3 roadmasters. Does the roadmaster get paid more than the regular $75
Nobody gets paid no more money.
for being a
And a
roadmaster?
lot- During the days when him and I do a lot of things, there is no pay.
Yeah, these got a lot of times
We
don't.
spend 2 hours a day
That's what I mean.
with Kevin. You don't get paid for that.
Okay, I just wanna make sure it made clear and stuff.
Let's just
We're not stealing no money
clarify
or
something.
Dealing with the guys on Monterey Road the other day. I was there a couple hours at a time. You don't get paid for that.
That's because we're doing it as a supervisor. But if you're doing it as a roadmaster, you can
You get paid as a
Yeah.
roadman.
If there's a board of auditors to set the rate.
That's right.
Exactly right. Actually, we can get all paid insurance by you people too. we don't.
Only if you pay the employees.
Yeah?
Don't throw
Don't
BS out
threaten
there.
us.
We have no policy for the
Yeah.
employees, therefore you don't qualify either.
Yes.
Didn't answer my
They did
question.
it over and over.
Well, they're going to avoid every damn
But
thing.
It's paid,
And Frank's
Oh, the
right.
supervisors
Every
get
every
insurance.
expense has gotta be
Yeah, it's in
approved by the
it's
public.
supervisors.
Only if the employees get it.
No.
There's a
They
certain,
get the same thing the employees
there's a
get.
certain
no,
limit about
make them go with the things.
Let's
we
go.
do.
Okay, let's go.
because, you
All
know,
right, so,
the secretary shouldn't have to order a box of paper, put a set of board.
Yeah, we got
But on
everything.
the other hand, this is a small
Okay,
township.
so I make a
It
motion
should be
to
a
nominate
case where almost
Supervisor
everything,
Coward's
every
the
project should be
chief.
brought forward
I
unless it's an
second on that.
absolute
What's,
emergency.
what's postage, 44 cents?
Aye.
What's the what?
And,
Postage, 44 cents?
see, okay,
I think
here's
it's
the
48 or
specific-
49
you don't have to-
Oh, I didn't know it went up. I was gonna question that there.
Yeah.
Make a motion to authorize Jerry or engineer to.
I didn't know it was up.
I guess we already covered that, right? Huh?
Traffic study.
That, make a motion to authorize Jerry, our engineer, to do legally necessary control intersection traffic study on the intersection of Amity and
Courtney,
Notch. and
you
upon
sure you wanna get
completion of the
involved in
study,
all
the
this?
results
Yeah,
of
really,
that
it's all drama.
Be advertised as required by law
Yes,
to.
sir. See what you're coming into, girl.
Bigger for roads.
That's why I brought you along, so you can see what it's like.
Wait a minute.
It's interesting
Just
though.
provide two motions. One motion was to authorize Jerry to do a study. The second motion was to advertise the results,
Right, I was, right.
the result. Let's stick to one motion at a time here. That's getting ahead of it. That's putting that horse ahead of the horse.
Yeah, I know.
Once it gets completed, then we have to advertise.
Then we should have the opportunity to review it as well.
Okay, now,
Once the study's
It's,
done,
you know,
we should
Frank,
have
it's
the
already been,
opportunity.
it's already, actually, Jerry already went over it with you. You have a difference of opinion as to Jerry, our engineer, and how that should be solved.
I'm just asking about the study.
Yeah, the study, though, has technically already been,
The study, you've authorized to do the study. And then at the
and
same
then
motion, you've
advertise,
authorized
and then
to move
advertise
forward.
that study after it's been completed. Technically, it's already been done, you've already seen the results, we don't like the results, so.
No, that's not a study, that's a written report. That's not a
okay.
But you made a motion to do
gotta get a
what?
sign out
First you
here.
made a motion to do the study.
So I made a
That makes sense.
Okay, make a motion to authorize
Sign, I
Jerry, our
can't read it
engineer,
back.
to do a legally necessary controlled intersection traffic study on the intersection of Amity and Notch, and upon completion of the study, the results of that study be advertised as required by law prior to implementation. Because he's gonna do the study, then that, we're,
We'll advertise.
I would ask that you limit it to do the study, and then have us have an opportunity to look
that's
at
what
it.
we did last, no, that's, no, this is the way we're gonna do it, Frank,
Okay, that's the way it always is. We have no say in it.
It's not, that
The
we've already
traffic study
discussed
comes,
it.
you advertise it, you adopt it. We
Frank,
never have anything to
Frank,
say
it's
about it.
it was talked to, the planning commission, we already talked about it here. Again, you
The
have a difference
study
of.
wasn't done. He even said, I looked at it like they wanted to. A study involves a lot more than that, and Jerry knows that.
The public will get say before they vote on it
Before we vote on
after the advertisement.
What,
I mean, you'll get a say because after the advertisement, they have to vote on it.
Is that the same say we got at the March meeting? Is that the same say? I think if Carl's gonna be reasonable about it, we should do the study and then let us see what the results are. And then the public
Then
should
that's another-
have,
okay,
the
then
public
that's
should
another-
have an input as to whether we advertise that study or not.
you know, Frank, that's another that's 3 months, these
No, that's
people,
1 month. You
No,
said do the
these
study,
people-
you said it's done.
No, what I'm
Next
saying
month
is
can
you-
vote.
Linda, you talked about, you'd like the stop sign not to have to crank your head around. You and Brian both agreed, I think John too, that as what we had come up with last time certainly seemed to be a substantial improvement over what we've got going now.
Yeah, right now it
Well-
stinks.
Right,
It
so
stinks.
I'm trying to, great, for once we all.
Pat, excuse me. The, stop,
What I'm saying is,
It only had one stop sign there, now they've got three or four.
Yeah, why did it come up?
so
Why did you change it? Because Pat brought it up.
So,
Okay, I'm going, move on.
so
Yeah.
Make a motion, second.
Did you vote on that motion?
yes, we did.
You didn't get,
Yes.
no water.
Okay, now.
Hey, excuse me, about the stop signs. I'm looking at it this way and saying, okay, we originally requested the signs be fixed back in, I think it was June, or May or June, either or. We've been waiting about a year now. One more month isn't going to make any
Well,
big
that's-
difference.
But that's why we're trying
And
to.
if we wait one more month to go ahead, make sure the public has a say and can review everything, it's not a problem.
Yeah, well, they don't care if we have a review, it's quite obvious just from listening to Pat. She says, we don't care, we're gonna
I didn't
advertise
say
and
we
do what
don't
we
care.
want.
Jerry's the engineer, and he should be the one handling it.
No, the public should have an input even though it's.
There needs to be an input.
We don't, you take it away from us, just like you always have.
This board's supposed to represent the people. The people should have an input. 1 month isn't going to make any difference.
They have a-
We're just gonna, it's gonna be advertised, and then we're going to vote on it at the next meeting. We'll have your. So we're gonna have the next meeting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do it right.
Just a suggestion.
Yes.
When you have to do these studies, is there some way to take somebody that's not on the board, you know, say a township resident, a non-biased somebody, just take them with you to see what their input is, why you're doing the study. You know, I don't know if it'll help, but at least it's, I mean, you understand what I'm trying
Would
to
you
say?
like to be a part of that?
Anybody,
Can we volunteer you?
hey, call me, you got my number.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, you know, anybody in the township can go along, and that way you have at least somebody's non-biased input
Right.
of what you might be looking at the time.
Well, see, this has been well, you know we're not sitting every hour, and you know.
Right, right.
So, okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Okay, now, under the roadmaster, we met with the person today about Circle, Lowtown Road, and Notch Road. He gave us some input there to put it out for some bids and see where we quite stand. So that's what we're going to do here. Go ahead.
I have a question, going back to the road. We've lived here for 40 years. The way it was all right, it worked for 40 years. And then whenever you moved your stop sign back a little bit, that worked
was
all right.
great.
But the way it is now, it's a fiasco. I'd say save a lot of
Why
money,
did it-
just
where
put
did
it
it
back
come
the way
from?
it was and let it go.
Yep, you're gonna save an
Yeah.
engineer study, you're gonna save 3 stop signs.
Yes.
It worked fine for 40 years,
Right.
somebody else already
The
said
only,
it.
the,
But
Linda
now you
has a
gotta
thing.
spend money, spend money.
The only request that we have is that those trees on Notch Road be trimmed back because summer's coming, and that was our problem to begin with, because people almost got hit going across that intersection
yeah.
there. Other than that, that one stop sign and having it back a little bit so you don't have to meet each other going around and coming out, it was perfect, Carl. It was
Yeah.
perfect. I don't know why it changed.
Yeah.
I think, didn't you guys
No,
No,
no. we
not the
didn't.
way it is now.
No.
Really, just put the damn thing back and put two
So now everybody.
yield signs on the other one.
Yield signs would be fine otherwise.
You happy, Frank?
Said adding a new stop sign.
So,
Okay, now,
wait, so let's, yeah, you want to clarify that?
yeah, okay, you're happy to move it back?
Yep,
Okay with you, Jerry?
and keep those trees trimmed.
Did a
Travis?
real traffic study to move it to start, so
Yeah.
that's up to you.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last month, Frank pointed out to me
That-
Adding a new stop sign would require a study. That's
Study,
what I
so
pointed out. You're
you
not
all have
adding
to be-
anything new.
You have to be careful because Mr. Paust has now made you aware of the possibility that you might be breaking some sort of law by,
By adding a new one? No. What-
well, if
putting it
it's moved
where it
back,
was.
isn't that, I don't know the
Because you're
legal
changing
technicalities,
it.
be careful.
You're changing it from what it was, so we don't want to get in a mire because,
No, if you wanna leave it the way Pat wants it and spend more money. That's what it amounts to. Everybody agrees that it's fine the way it was.
Is there a way to take an open vote right here while we're all here?
Very easy.
yeah, well,
We'll let you know.
okay. Jerry, do you have any suggestions at all as to what we can do legally? Can we move the sign back to where it was originally, where it didn't, or not?
Since you didn't do the study to start with.
The study wasn't done to start with, like Frank said, so I said,
Move it back where it
move
was.
it back where it was, I said,
And just
that
give
wasn't
it-
changing that.
And then pull out all the other signs essentially, just.
Yeah, I don't know where the original ones were, so.
Yeah,
We
but
do.
we can actually
We
put,
do.
was
put the
back.
stop sign back where we had it before.
Yes, it was moved back
Okay,
just
we
a
make the
little
bend there,
bit.
we could put a yield there and a yield the other side. and that would
And
take-
you wouldn't even have to have all those if you keep
Well-
those trees trimmed back.
The only
A yield
accident
sign
that
would be
was ever
fine.
there was my grandson went through the stop sign and then rolled his car over out there.
And right now, the stop sign, if you're on Amity taking a left onto Notch, you stop at that stop sign, and we've had all these discussions about sight distances. I look to the left, and all I see is road, and I cannot see down the road to see if anybody's coming. And of course, they don't have a stop sign, so every time I stop at that stop sign, I'm risking getting hit if somebody appears.
Okay, we'll move it backward.
Good.
Take care.
And the story, and the story.
Okay, now on this.
Okay, so motion,
Rescind the motion,
okay, rescind the motion about the speed study.
about the speed study.
Okay, I'm gonna rescind the motion then about the speed study. You're not gonna need it now.
No. Okay, now with Rick Levin, he's going to get us
I need a
this
second on that, sorry.
outside.
And all in favor, aye?
I did.
What was that last motion for?
Rescinding the speed study to save the township money.
Traffic study.
Traffic study,
Study.
excuse me, traffic
Okay.
study.
Like I said, Rick Levin was out today, and we went over these roads, and we're going to need a motion to put them out for bid to see where they might come in at.
Did he give you an idea, just a rough idea of what it would cost?
He didn't give us a rough idea.
Not at all.
Here.
We have, what, 150,000 in our,
Well, he figures the prices are going down a little bit.
No,
So-
no.
Is that how much
I
they add?
apologize, Carl. Rick called me later this
Is
afternoon.
that how much they
The
add?
price has gone up
Again.
because everybody wants paving done, so everybody's jacking their prices up. So,
Okay, so we really don't know if it comes out.
Never mind.
will they be advertising each project
Separate.
no,
separately?
Yeah,
So you get a price for each one?
right.
Is that right?
it's an either-or type. He's given us two different scenarios, and for the work that's going to be done on Circle, Lowtown, and the Notch cul-de-sac.
So they'll be bidding on each one in separate?
It'll have to be all the same material, whichever one they pick. I mean, I can let you look at the
I mean,
table.
like, we're talking about a job on Circle Road.
That's separate than
So
the
they're
job.
They're gonna bid on Circle Road, they're
And
gonna
then-
bid on
right.
the material, whatever.
Right.
They got that.
Right,
On
so,
Lowtown Road, we're gonna be doing some work on there, and down on the cul-de-sac, we're gonna do a little work on there. Now, tomorrow, we're gonna be working, trying to get the people happy over in Motter Road, and we're probably gonna spend about $8,000 to $10,000 over there, so that you all know, because that road's in pretty bad shape.
On Martyr.
Yeah,
That's bad.
yeah, well, Linda, you drove it, you know what it is?
Bad.
Oh, it's really bad. It's the worst road in the township.
Exactly, well, that isn't because it was never installed right.
I
That's why
believe
we
that.
have these roads, look at Huggins Road.
Mm-hmm,
It's blocked up. I remember when that road was just black shale,
mm-hmm,
and I remember when Amity Road was dirt.
yeah.
Carl, did you get a, did you get his motion to advertise?
I didn't get a second.
And we have a motion.
They're advertising the road work.
Yeah.
Carl made the motion.
The road, oh, you just,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
I'm sorry. You gotta keep it straight. Okay, the only other thing is, and that's a reference to the Burgett plan. Yeah, I'm Jerry gave it back.
The Barry and Terry
Yeah.
Even plan,
Right.
and at the planning commission, I was directed to look at the driveway ordinance and see whether we needed a modification for a split driveway. We don't describe driveway in the ordinance, but when you look at the typical driveway section, it shows it as one entrance, and there's nothing that says that it can be split. I would make a recommendation to do a modification to Appendix A for the typical driveway section, basically saying that the driveway could be split into two separate locations, an in and an out with proper signage.
Okay, now, so you're saying we should make a motion or a recommendation?
Well, you would make a motion to accept the modification.
Listen to everyone's words.
Accept the modification to Appendix A of the typical driveway section and permit the driveway to be split into an in and an out for safety.
Jerry, doesn't the driveway ordinance require all modification requests to be submitted in writing?
I think he had it on the plan. He had it on something.
Yeah.
Because he asked, oh wait, maybe he didn't.
No, we talked about getting the variance if necessary, but they have
Yeah,
to
if it
submit
was
the
needed.
request before they can grant it. You can't just grant it based on no request.
Well, there was, yeah, but there was a request for it if it was needed. That was made very clear even with the PC notice.
Do you have a written request right now requesting a variance from them, a letter?
If it was needed.
Letter of modification for a modification? I don't think so. So why don't you just contact the man and say, before you get your driveway permit, you need to send a request for a modification.
Okay. But if we had to make a motion to make sure that we adopted this, that's all. If it was necessary and.
No, you have, I think you're trying to adopt the modification, and he didn't request it yet. When he comes to get his driveway permit, which he's not ready to do yet, when he comes to get that, he has to bring a modification request. And then you can vote on it. You don't vote on something you haven't gotten yet, and that's what you're trying to do.
We'll take care of it under the driveway application.
Okay,
There you go.
move on. Good.
So is there anything we need to approve
No,
today? So
nothing to do
he doesn't
today.
have to wait another month if he hasn't, I mean, he's not ready yet.
It's going to be covered under the driveway
Okay.
permit.
That's fine, okay. Now, anything else as far as needing to be approved, that you know, no plan?
Okay, we got a new plan for Hilltop Oil.
Yeah. Yep, and that's been submitted to everyone, everybody on the planning commission.
Now, I'll give you people a little information that at the capital area tax, we have in one account like $9,600,000 that we get 0.30 on it. We have another account that has like $33,000 some dollars, or $333,000. We get 0.25. Now we're going to take out of that 200,000 and move it and get 0.65. So that's what we, that's where we get a lot of our money out of. So you all know that, you understand?
No, you're saying cap tax as a whole, or Watts Township's portion of cap tax?
As a whole, Frank. When I give a figure, it's a whole.
So the cap tax, the Capital Tax Bureau
Right.
has that amount of money, and they're making
We have
money.
that, right. We have that
We
amount of
don't,
money in two
Watts
accounts.
Township doesn't get any of that. Cap tax gets it.
Tax has it. They get it, and they distribute it back to the township. As you pay, comes off your paycheck. You got that?
They distribute the income,
You confused.
okay, it's deducted from my paycheck.
Right.
That goes to cap tax.
It was cap
And
tax.
then cap tax sends what's deducted from my paycheck to us.
And they take what they're, that needs to go to school, and it comes to us. That's where it up.
Where do we get the interest?
Where you went.
Where do we get the interest? Where does the Watts Township get the interest that you're talking about cap tax collecting?
They don't tell us.
We don't.
No.
Cap tax keeps it for operating
Right.
expenses.
After
So
that.
we don't benefit from those,
From
that
that
interest
interest.
rate.
No, not really. That's more,
We just get what's withheld out
Right.
of our checks.
yes, whatever comes off here. Okay.
Nancy, does there have to be a resolution done to move the
What?
monies from one to the other, from one account to the other? Does that have to have anything like that?
I would think so, yes.
So that would have to be done before anything would be able to be done?
I mean, I've seen it done by motion, I've seen it done by resolution.
Yeah, I think it has to be done by resolution.
More than likely, yes.
I thought I read it.
And yet,
think
you
you're
know,
right.
you have a
Code.
book.
Make a motion to pay the bills. Second, all in favor, aye. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second motion?
Yeah. Hey, Brian, I want to talk to you before you leave.
Sure.
Courtney.
You know.